Good afternoon, chat. Haluku, thank you for the subscription on Twitch. Were you able to look into the Discord priority team submission issue? I looked at it, but I couldn't see anything that was wrong with the system. Are you still not available to see it? What's your Discord? It should work as intended. How's everyone doing, by the way? Let's see. Let's get everyone into the server before we, or into the server, into the stream before we get going today. We have a lot of things to discuss. There's a lot of things that could happen today in this stream, guys. A lot of things could happen in this stream. What you're seeing on screen is not what my team is likely to look like at the end of this. Let me tell you that much. Yeah, Haluka, I can't see you getting the role. I can't add people manually to the role either, because it's automatically integrated into the server. Should be working. Are you sure you have the right Discord linked? Wildcard confirmed. Yeah, I've popped the wildcard already. I've already done it. Tyler, Lannister, Mo Ereli. We are vibing. Holy, what is your... Yeah, 109.6. Raining in Canada. Is it raining right now? I only saw that it would rain tomorrow. Should probably look at that, right? Rain in Canada. I'm not in Canada. Why am I googling rain in Canada? Canada GP weather forecasts. No rain today, that's expected. Sunday, it's probably gonna rain. It's probably gonna rain. At least a little bit. Should be fun. Yeah, try disconnecting and reconnecting. I can't add... I can maybe, like, create a separate role for it, but I can't add people because it's just manually integrated, right? Stash is up. We're up for it. It's a bit crooked, but it is what it is. Yeah, I see your accounts. It's just not connected. That's strange. Is it connected to the correct Twitch account? What else do we have? Struggling with too many choices. So as am I. Why Alonso over Lawson? That's just what I had yesterday. I've not changed it. Canada's big, so raining somewhere. That is true. Lag? I hope not. It's possible. What is the best team to do for 107.7 million? Depends on if you're wildcarding or not. There's a lot of options this week. But I think 2 premium constructors is affordable at that budget. You might be forced to go for Ferrari, though. Stash is up, thumbs up. Let's go. Would you do no negative if you could get a wildcard team for -10? Yeah, if you're only doing a -10, I would probably do it with no negative. I think no negative... Well, let's talk about that real quick. I obviously don't have no negative available. I think no negative is a really good play this week. Rain, sprint weekend, that's like all you want for a no negative play, realistically. So if you did not use your no negative last week or in China, I think it's worth doing it now if you're not in a position where you need to wildcard. And I think in Tyler's position, like if you can get to your wildcard team for -10, like the team you would want on a wildcard anyway, I'd say go for the -10 and pop no negative. No negative is definitely a play. My budget is 109.6 million. Is it not? It is on screen, yeah. 109.6 million is my budget. Tough decision to keep here. Long-term strategy thought, especially looking to Limitless in Monaco. Yeah, I'll talk about that when I talk about my Team 3, because my Team 3 is the one Limitless in Monaco. This mustache is so sad. It's just pointing downwards. It is what it is. Is Albon an option? Yeah, Albon looks really good this week. I'm considering him over Ocon. That is like, there's so many 50-50. Ideal wildcard team, it's impossible to call. There's so many 50-50s. We're going to talk about all of them. I actually have somewhat of a setup. Yo, Celtic, thank you so much for the subscription. Joel says no neg or Antonelli 3x. I think no negative. You need to have a second premium constructor if you want to pop the 3x, in my opinion. Resi new chatter on Twitch. Are pit stop points per pit stop or just fastest of that team? Just the fastest one. So the oh my god, my team reappeared. The fastest pit stop that that team sets. So it's not every pit stop. But thank you for the chat. Carlos, what's up? Lannister, Albon, Ferrari, McLaren, Bortoletto. That's kind of what I'm at, but you know, you could be Albon or Ocon there. McLaren, Bortoletto. That is like what I'm considering basically. Sims shows same points for McLaren, Ferrari. Yep. How much do you think Ferrari versus McLaren would outscore each other? That's the thing, because I thought that they would be relatively close last week, and there was like 60 points between them, you know what I mean? So I don't want to see this difference between the two, because that could be really swingy in favor on a 50-50 decision. Alright. So, as always, we start with F1 Predict. So let's do F1 Predict and then go into, because we have a lot of things to discuss. There's a lot of different 50-50 decisions, and I'm probably going to timestamp things as we go throughout this stream, because there's so many things that I feel like is just going to be a reoccurring thing, such as the Ferrari versus McLaren, Albon versus Ocon, do we go for Lawson, whatnot. We're going to discuss all of that. It's going to be a long one. So let's make some Canada predictions first of all. I think George Russell wins. I think Kimi Antonelli is on the podium. And let's slap an Oscar Piastri on there for good time's sake. Or apply the 2x ship there, always on that one. How many teams score points in the sprint? In the sprint, do we think that Red Bull finish 7th, 8th? I'm down to go for that bet. I'm down to go for the bet that only the top teams score points in the sprint. There was a bit of distance between Red Bull and the rest, right? How many times have Ferrari let you down in Canada? Too many times. In the sprint, which driver finishes higher? What was the qualifier? Let's actually bring up qualifying, because I cannot remember for the life of me where these two finished. Canada sprint sprint qualifying. Sainz was 10th, Colapinto was 13th. And almost no difference there in Q3 between Hadjar and Limblad, but I'll keep Hadjar in for now on the prediction. Yeah, and then Lawson and Albon did not set a time. I think I'll put Sainz above Colapinto here then. Williams have had decent starts this year. That has been like their saving grace. Budget exactly the same as yours? Nice. It's a decent budget. Decent budget. Nobody else worried about Bortoletto reliability? I'm very worried about Bortoletto reliability. We're going to talk about that as well. I'll go for Carlos Sainz finishing above Colapinto in the sprint. Pole position, I'm going to go for George Russell. Will both Racing Bulls cars get out of Q1? I mean, Limblad got P10, so I'm going to say yes. And assume that Lawson is fit for the qualifying this time around. Which team will set the fastest pit stop time of the race? I'm just going to keep betting Ferrari. I don't even think that's been that great this year. Actually, can we go for like a McLaren here? 20 points? I'll take a McLaren for 20. Who finishes ahead in the GP? I'll go for Ollie Behrman. It's the least amount of points, but I think it's the most likely to happen. And then how many times will the safety car or VSC be required during the... Okay, so rain... 2 times. Whoa, only 10 points for more than 2 times. The history of Canadian GP suggests a safety car needed at some point more than once. I'm gonna say twice. I think there will be. Well, I think we'll see 2 safety cars. Thundershock this year is my first time ever playing F1 Fantasy, currently sitting at 1,600 global rank. Thank you so much for the kind words. I'm sure it's a lot of your own intuition as well. You're higher than me. What do you get with these predicts? I never do it. There's a points league for it. So it's just fun to see how well you do compared to everyone else. Who will set the fastest lap time of the race? I'll go for George Russell here as well. And then who's ahead in the team championship after the Canadian Grand Prix? Ferrari with a 16-point lead. I think Ferrari will be close enough to not drop that 16-point lead. Boom. So we can look at my results so far. It's not been that bad. Did I miss? No, I don't think I missed. No, I scored pretty well. And oh, outstanding even. Top 1% in the world in Miami, by the way. Sheesh. Average accuracy 38% at 4.8k overall. I still lost global rank. That's cool. I'm 29th in my league. 53% accuracy on Edmonton. Yikes. That's insane. I'm not even really close. All right. So, triple Audi and Bottas. You think that's good? Unfortunately, I think Audi is pretty bad, and we'll talk about that as well in today's scheduled stream. Okay, so where's my team? Okay, what do we talk about first? Okay, I think because I'm gonna focus so much on my wildcard team here for my team 1, I think we should talk about things that don't apply to my team today, okay? So, or my main team. So, let's talk about no negative first. This is 4:15. I'm actually gonna write things down with a pen today because I feel like I'm gonna get questions and I want to be able to like refer back and say like, yo, you can find this information at this point in the stream. So I'm taking a pen and paper. So 4:15. So whatever that is, like 15 minutes into the stream or whatever. I talk about the no negative, okay? So, the no negative chip. Let's switch the music to which one am I looking for? This one. Cool. Is the live lagging? Is it? Oh no. I hope not. It's possible that it's me. I'm getting some warnings. Is it lagging for everyone else or is it just one person? No, it's fine? Okay, cool. So, no negative chip. I think this is definitely a week where a lot of people are using their wildcards. I would prioritize using the wildcard if you feel like you need to. The no negative chip can be used in many future races. There are many other opportunities to use the no negative chip. I think the no negative chip here is really good if you're not planning on using the wildcard. So, for example, on my team 2, I just used 3 transfers, and I'm sticking with this team. I already had Russell. I'm doing, this is the team I'm running on my team 2 to be a bit differential from my main team. And that team, could get to this using 3 transfers. So that's what I'm sticking to. Henceforth, that's not the word I was looking for. Hence, I'm going to use no negative on my team 2. Boom. That is the play on my team 2. I think no negative is good this weekend. If you're not planning on using another chip, I would highly consider it. It's looking likely that it's going to rain tomorrow. The rain currently for tomorrow looks to be, this is about the time where it's going to, this is about the time when the race is. So, about a 45% to 35% coverage of the rain. I think we're going to see, it's not going to be a lot, but I do think we're going to see droplets fall, and I think there could be changing conditions, which could mean crashes. It could mean people falling off with a bad strategy, stuff like that. So definitely make sure to pop the no negative if you're not using another chip this week and you still have that available. I think it's a good play. Boom. Let's talk about my second team here. I'm wildcarding with this one as well. This is my budget building team where, you know, I'm just kind of going off of vibes. I'm keeping like Bottas here. I like ignore the individual assets. The point with this team is that I'm getting a cheap constructor here, and I'm picking Williams as my cheap constructor of choice, because I'm using Limitless next week in Monaco with this budget building team. I think if you still have your Limitless, right? I can't show it now because I've used the chip on all my teams. If you still have your Limitless chip, I think the best time to use it is in Monaco, and you need to prepare for Monaco. William, thank you so much for subscribing on YouTube. By the way, guys, we're super close to 5k subscribers on YouTube, so if you're watching the stream right now and you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. You can always unsubscribe later if you get tired of seeing my videos in your subscription feed. It's free, and it's the best way to support the channel. And also, while you're down there, you should like the stream. It shows YouTube that you're enjoying what you're watching, and he, as in the almighty YouTube algorithm, will push it to more people. So that's fun. Initial DJP, new chatter on Twitch. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for all the help. I'm currently ranked 1,568,000. Thanks to your advice. You're welcome. I hope you can push a little bit higher than that. How do we best prepare for Limitless in Monaco? I think the best way is to try and get assets that you think will increase in price, right? Because that is the goal. So I would look at the odds on F1 Fantasy Tools budget builder site. You go to Canada Post Sprint Qualifying version 2, and you click in here the odds for the 0.6 million price increase, and you get the drivers that are at the top of this list, right? I think Ocon is surprisingly low here, but I guess that's because of where he qualified. But you have Albon, Checo, Alonso, Bortoleto. I would probably avoid. I think the Audi's reliability, I'm going to talk about that a bit later, is a bit scary. Bottas, Colapinto, then Lawson, Ocon as well, and then it sort of drops off. These are the assets from Ocon up to Albon are the assets you should have on a wild card, preparing for a Limitless in Monaco. And additionally, if you're wildcarding this week and limitlessing next week, I would consider going for a cheap constructor that's very likely to increase 0.6 million in price, such as a Williams V-Carb, Cadillac, something like that. You kind of throw away some points in Canada, only to gain more budget in Monaco, and I think it's worth it. And then you can be kind of flexible with which your second premium constructor can be after Monaco when you get into Spain, and you hopefully have a bit more budget to play around with. So that is what I'm doing. Tier list today? No, we're going to talk about a lot of 50-50s instead. I think is the plan for today. Why was there a V2? I don't know. I didn't see the V1. So they probably did something wrong, or they recalculated something based on something. I have no idea, actually. But it is V2. I think people are sleeping on Hamilton this week, and I'm expecting podium and driver of the day. That is... I mean, I can see it. Hamilton, like, Canada and China are like his two... And Silverstone, of course, are like his tracks that he usually performs at. So yeah. Does no negative stop negative points if you do extra transfers? No, it does not. No, it does not. It only stops categories within the actual assets. So, say we go into Charles Leclerc here. I used no negative last week, and this race positions lost was removed. That's how the chip works. It basically just eliminates all point categories where you have a negative score. That's how that works. So if someone lost 5 positions, like 5 positions in the sprint, like that would be removed. Whatever. Yeah. So every negative score line on this sheet is what gets removed with no negative, and that's why no negative is so good in a sprint, by the way, because there are more categories. Like there's 3 more categories. Obviously, sprint position. This could be a DNF, right? So there's 3 more categories that could be negative, which is almost a 50%. Almost a 100% increase. There's a 75% increase in the amount of possible negative score lines that could be eliminated. Is it worth getting a -10 to get Albon in for Ocon? No, I think they're quite equal. Obviously, the budget builder says differently, but I think Ocon is a better is a really good long-term hold as well. And Ocon is also just really likely to increase, like 38% likely to increase 0.2 at least, which is still good, right? I would not say that is worth a -10. So yeah, prepping for a Limitless, I'd say go for something like this. This is what I have currently. I'm considering, I think Albon Checo will be there. I think I'll keep Ocon as well, even though he's lower on the budget. And then Bottas just because he's cheap, so that I can switch Williams and one of these assets later. I think this is what I'm going for on my budget builder team. That's Limitlessing next week. So we've talked about these two. Let's talk about some 50-50s, and let's start with removing like everything from this, because there's so many things that could be played, that could be there's so many options here. It's actually kind of nuts. The only thing, and I'm gonna say literally the only thing that I think is must have this week is Mercedes Constructor. Okay? If you do not have Mercedes Constructor, your prior one needs to be to find a way to get the Mercedes Constructor. Why not Alonso Colapinto on the Limitless prep team? It's kind of 50-50. I think, I mean, I just like Ocon for the long-term hold. And then I prefer Checo budget-wise there. And I also want to differentiate, and I don't think I'm going for Checo on the main team. Not even Kim In, no, because I think there are some teams that could benefit from going for George Russell. Obviously, I think Kimi Antonelli is better than George Russell, budget-wise, how much, cost-wise. He fits into more teams. He's next to essential, right? But there is a genuine argument for, picking George Russell and being differential there and hoping that George Russell goes and wins the Canadian GP. I literally think the only mandatory asset in the game is the Mercedes Constructor right now. And if you don't have the Mercedes Constructor, you have to find a way to get it in. Whereas, like, if you're on George Russell, I don't think you need to sell Russell to get Kimi. If you're on Piastri or Charles Leclerc, you can get away with not running Kimi Antonelli for a race. So, Mercedes Constructor must have. Is it worth to wildcard to get those cheap driver assets? If you have those that are not going to increase, then yes, that's kind of what I'm doing it, because I think I need to get the points. Ocon is definitely a keep. -10 for McLaren to Merc. Yeah, I would say that is worth it. I would definitely say that is a valid -10 to take. Gasly will start on pit lane in the sprint. Doesn't change his setup. Does this change stuff for you? Interesting. Thank you for the information, Nixie. I had not seen this. I need to get FIA document bot up. I mean, it doesn't really change anything. Wait, is Albon and Lawson starting pit lane or back of the grid? Can someone remind me? It's been a while. I'm rusty. 30 minutes ago. When did the Gasly come out? I completely missed that. $14 hours ago. Yeah, they're back of the grid. Yeah, good. Thank you. Okay, so I got it right. It doesn't change too much, no. I think Gasly's so bad budget-wise. Like, the required points for Gasly is kind of mental. It's 40 points for a max increase, 29. I mean, I could see him hit 29, but then again, he also has that -8, and he's 12.8 million. There's no way Gasly ever increases in price in Monaco. Even with like a 30-pointer in Canada, he doesn't increase in price in Monaco. So I think maybe cost for V2. That is possible. Yeah, SoFlo. That you might be right. I think you're cooking. You disagree with Mercedes? I think it's the best team, but with Rain and Sunny and two guys fighting for a championship, a crash can happen. Not a must for me. Yeah, but you can't plan around, like, teammate crashes. When that happens, it just happens. You always have to consider what will these assets score if not for a DNF. Obviously, you need to, like, consider, like, what can happen DNF-wise. And, you know, if a driver is really crash happy, that obviously, you know, comes into your consideration. But I really, really think that we can see a world where Mercedes scores 110 points and, like, McLaren and Ferrari are down to, like, 60 to 70 points. For Audi, I consider DNFs a lot. That is true. I do consider Audi DNFs a lot. Reither predictions has Ocon at only 1.7 points. Is that a bit concerning? It's a bit concerning, yeah. What does Ocon need? He needs 12. I mean, that's with... I think he will get more than 1.7. But I think Ocon... I think Ocon, like the simulations say, is very likely for a 0.2 increase. Not necessarily for a 0.6. But with Ocon, the good thing with Ocon is that he has that 14-pointer in round 4, meaning that, like, if he gets a decent score, he has a chance of increasing in Monaco. Like, if he beats the 12-pointer here, he could, like, not drop in Monaco. Is what I'm saying. Anyway, let's go back. I think all my drivers are back. I think Mercedes is essential. I wouldn't trust Ferrari plus McLaren. That brings us to our first 50-50 of the day, and we're gonna have a lot of polls today, guys. So I hope you're ready to get your polling in. In a vacuum for McLaren. So ignoring everything else, if the budget didn't matter, nothing like that, if you had to pick who outscores who, Ferrari versus McLaren, which one do you pick? I know what my answer is. The polls are on YouTube, by the way, for the Twitch viewers. You just gotta watch and enjoy. A very heavy favor, 79% currently for 80% for McLaren. I agree. I think McLaren will outscore Ferrari. So that brings us to the second question, is by how much? You know? How much will McLaren outscore Ferrari by? And what is it worth sacrificing budget-wise to get McLaren instead? Because I would like to get McLaren. The thing is, if I go for McLaren with this budget, I am almost certainly on Bortoleto, right? So let's talk about the Audis, okay? Because these Audis, man, I hate them. I hate them. I love Bortoleto. I love Hülkenberg as drivers. I think they're great. But there's a big problem with the Audis this year. First of all, they're literally my least favorite type of F1 fantasy assets. Look at this. Look at this. What is this? P11, 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 P13, P12, P11, P11. This sucks. Okay? In F1 fantasy, this is death. I hate this. Second thing I hate is their positions lost at the start. Let me get the... Okay, I can't find the data that I found before, but you guys know, right? Bortoleto, like the amount of positions Bortoleto has lost at the start of races is insane. Sorry. That was brutal. Oh, sorry about that. I can't find the data that I was looking at before, but you all know. Bortoleto and Hülkenberg lose hella positions at the start, which is terrible. That's positions lost immediately. They're not going to get into positions gain territory. Sure, they might get some overtakes, but... yeah. Right? So we hate that. We hate that. And then the third thing we hate is that their engine keeps exploding for no apparent reason. And we don't know why, we don't know what's causing it. We know that Aston Martin is a shitbox. Sorry my language. We know that the Cadillac is a tractor. We don't know what's wrong with the Audis. They just explode. Tell me that's not like the worst F1 fantasy asset you've ever heard in your entire life. They qualify P11 all the freaking time. They lose 4 positions off the line every single race, and they keep exploding. They're literally the trifecta of a terrible F1 fantasy asset. The only thing, and I mean literally the only thing, that like even speaks in favor of these guys is the fact that they're cheap now, right? But they're gonna keep dropping. I think we got giga-debated by the 13 points that Bortoletta got in Australia, because like that is not where they're performing at. And like sure, they might have the potential for a 10-pointer if their car doesn't explode. But I truly think the worst assets in the game right now are not the Cadillacs, it's not the Aston Martins, it's the Audis. On track, they might be good, right? Again, Hulkenberg has qualified P11 like 5 out of 7 times this season. That is mental. That is absolutely insane. I don't know how he does it. But it's absolutely terrible for fantasy. So in my book, I want to avoid the Audis like the plague. I don't want an Audi asset in my team. And I'm sort of building my team around trying to avoid that. The thing, though, is that at the price point, I'm kind of forced to go for one of them if I want to go for McLaren. That is just a situation I'm in. Go for reliability, yeah, and I just do not trust it, especially in sprint weekends when there's 2 sessions for them to explode in. I could see myself being happy with a Hulkenberg when he's 3 million, and we're in the middle of the European season, and maybe they've dropped some reliability improvements. And it's like, Bortoletta at 55% likely to 0.6 increase. Sure, that's good. But I don't hate it. Team submissions done? No, team submissions is later, 25 minutes. We're not doing a driver tier list today, we're just going to discuss a lot of 50-50 decisions. Because there's a lot of them. No negative is on the table. Yeah, you can. If you want to go back at 4:15 my local time, so 4:15 the first hour, we talked about no negative. What do you think of Alex Albon? I love Alex Albon this week. So if you would go Bottas over Hulk, I would go Bottas over Hulk. Yes. Behrman and Albon from the pit lane too. Okay, that matters way more. That is big news. Thank you for the live drops here, Nixie. I need like a third monitor with like the live nudes flooding in. That is massive. That is massive. I wonder if we get another version here. That matters a lot. That makes Albon way worse, in my opinion. I think this diminishes Albon as an asset. Him at the back of the grid is way better than at the back of from pit lane. Not necessarily a dud, but it's not good. It's not good for Albon owners. Is it worth holding Hulk until the rises the price again? Not if you can afford to transfer him out to like Bottas. Is Behrman a must sell? I think so, yeah. Simon, thank you so much for the sub. Yeah, so pit lane start is bad because it means they're further back and they can't like overtake off the line. And Albon was a really enticing asset because of Williams' good starts off the line. I think Albon has the most overtakes so far at the start of the season. Like maybe it's equal to the Ferraris. David, thank you so much for the the subscription. Holy. Yeah, so pit lane start is terrible. And now we have 3 of them. So that's fun. Let me get my here we go. Yep. From F1 Big Data just now, they also posted it. Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, and Oliver will start from the pit lane in the sprint race. This makes Albon way worse as an option for this week. By the way. Option in F1 Fantasy. Boom. Get that tweet out. Good morning in Argentina. How the AI is playing this week? Ooh, we'll look at that in a second. Who's starting from the pit lane? Gasly, Albon, and Behrman starting from the pit lane. For Gasly and Behrman, I don't think it influences how we play. Because we were probably selling Behrman anyway. Not a lot of people are on Gasly because of his price points. I think the Alex Albon one is the big one because it diminishes his potential a lot. Bottas or Stroll? Definitely Bottas, because Stroll is decreasing in price. No, because Albon was starting on the grid way back in the beginning. When they start in the pit lane, they don't have the opportunities to jump people at the start. And unless there's a safety car, they're going to be a bit further back. He can still get positions gained. I don't think it makes Albon bad. It just makes Albon way worse. Like, him starting last on the grid would have been way better than starting from the pit lane because he could jump people at the start. Is Lawson a worse asset now? Not really. I wasn't really expecting Lawson to overtake Gasly and Behrman anyway. If this said, like, you know, Stroll is starting from the pit lane, Bottas is starting from the pit lane, then that makes Lawson worse. I think it doesn't change Lawson that much. Because Lawson, like, the people we want Lawson to overtake are the Astons and the Cadillacs anyway. We want him to get that 10-pointer from there. Yeah, McLaren and Bortoleto or Albon and Ferrari. That is what I was kind of wanting to get with this whole chat about how terrible I think the Audis are. If I want McLaren in here, I don't see a way to afford this without going for Bortoleto. They're 2 of the cheapest, or like Bortoleto or Hulkenberg, which it then would be Bortoleto by definition because Hulkenberg is dropping in price. Bortoleto still has a chance, right? So in a team where I have Antonelli, Mercedes, McLaren, even going for, you know, slightly cheaper assets here, ignoring Ocon and Albon completely and jumping all the way down to Colapinto, like going for like Colapinto Lawson here, or even, you know, having the even cheaper ones of Alonso and Checo. There's just no combination where I can afford anything other than Bortoleto here, because again, I don't want Lance Stroll because Lance Stroll is dropping in price. So the only real option here is Bortoleto, which basically then becomes McLaren. Yes, we think McLaren is going to outscore Ferrari this week. 80% of you think that McLaren will outscore Ferrari. But if the then option becomes, and here comes the second poll that I want you guys to weigh in on, McLaren plus Bortoleto versus Ferrari plus anyone. Plus anyone. And like that could be they could be Ocon, it could be Albon, it could be Lawson, it could be Perez, it could be Alonso, it could be like etc. Like it could be anyone. So here's the poll. What would you pick? Because if I'm going Mercedes, McLaren, Antonelli, I'm literally forced to go Bortoleto. Bortoleto is the thing that Bortoleto is the asset that allows me to go for McLaren. Whereas if I go for Ferrari here, this Bortoleto asset could be literally anyone from Ocon down. It could be Ocon, it could be Albon, and again, we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about this group right here in a moment. This group is super, super interesting this week. The the mid-priced midfield assets are so, like, up in the air today. It's crazy. Literally anything could happen. Is it straight to T1 being shorter help the pit laners? That's a good question, Haluku. I don't actually know. I mean, in theory, yes. Being burned too much by Audi, we'll try and avoid them as much as possible. Yep. Now, this is way closer. So, from everyone saying that McLaren will outscore Ferrari this week, we have a 60-40 or 65-40, 65-35, 65-35 split on Ferrari plus anyone being better than McLaren plus Bortoleto. While that sort of ticker runs, let's talk about these other ones. So obviously, we have the 50-50 that I consider it, which is Ocon versus Albon. Albon is now starting from the pit lane, if you've missed it, which makes him worse. Him starting from the back, like on the grid, would have been way, way better because he could overtake people at the start. Now he's going to be in pit lane. He can still gain positions. I still think Albon is a good asset. It's just how good, right? Ocon needs a bit more to increase in price. The maximum. I think Ocon's most likely outcome today is going to be a 0.2 million increase, or today, over this weekend. And he also, like, the Mr. Consistent right here. He's definitely showing up in F1 Fantasy in terms of points, and I think he's likely looking at a 10-ish pointer in Canada as well, depending a bit on where he qualifies tomorrow, or where he qualifies this evening and how he performs tomorrow. So, Ocon versus Albon, due to their prices being so similar, is very much a 50-50, right? Then, the super interesting group is this group right here. So, before yesterday, it was really like Colapinto versus Alonso versus Checo. But because of Lawson starting at the back of the grid, I hate it when it does that. I'm in the middle of something, F1 Fantasy. Stop auto-updating my freaking app, man. You're so annoying. Sorry, that was my rage for the day, and I'm gonna keep raging every time that happens because it's so unbelievably frustrating. Let's slap all of these guys in here and talk about them. I don't know what I want to go for here. That's the truth. I don't know. I do not know which ones I'm going for, and the likely outcome this week is that I'm going to own 2 of these, and I'm not going to own the other 2. And, I mean, they're very close in price, and at my budget, it doesn't matter if I go for Colapinto or Perez on any of the build options that I have. If you're on a slightly lower budget than me, obviously you're going to tend towards a Checo being one of them. On the budget builder, in terms of odds to increase, Checo is the highest at 62. Alonso at 58, then we have Colapinto at 38 and Lawson at 21. But the fact that Lawson is at 21%, even though the required points for Liam Lawson is 32, is pretty massive. Like 21, like F1 Fantasy Tools considered there a 21% chance for Lawson to get over 32 points. Like, that seems like pretty, like, if I was a betting man, those are numbers that I would bet on. Lawson starting at the back of the grid with, the slow Aston Martins, the slow Cadillacs in front of him. I feel like he's going to be able to overtake them. That's going to be 8 points in the sprint already. Maybe he can climb further. There's a lot of potential for Liam Lawson as an asset. The minus 12 is the negative thing here, because if he doesn't reach this, he's dropping in price in Monaco again, right? If he performs badly, he's 100% dropping in Monaco. So, if you are someone that's going to Limitless in Monaco, I don't think you take the bet on Lawson. I think it's too big of a risk, because you risk essentially just losing 1.2 million. Whereas, for us that are not doing Limitless, worst case, we can just sell Lawson to someone else next week. So, if you are using your Limitless, do not take the bet on Lawson. That is my definitive statement on that, and my definitive, tip on that. And I think that's the correct tip on that. For us who are not using Limitless, who've already used it, though, betting on that 32-pointer is very, very hype. Rain in the sprint weekend is the best to go 2A constructor, but then in Monaco with 2A is bad. No, in Monaco having 2A constructor is better. Way better. And, like, the fact that, like, F1 fantasy tools are usually pretty stingy on their points predictions. Like, for example, they're predicting Ocon to get 1.7 points this week. I think he's going to get way more than that, based on simulations. Like, a 20% chance that Lawson gets 32 points is insane. So, I think that I, on my main team, will take the bet on Lawson. Partly because I'm also not taking that bet on my other teams, so I want to be a bit differential in how I set it up. So let's slot Lawson in there for now. That could obviously change, but right now, I'm inclined to go for Liam Lawson. That then brings us to 3 assets to essentially pick from. We're going to end this poll now. 58% to Ferrari plus anyone. The McLaren camp climbed up a little bit. Imported cabin for Lawson, worse for Monaco, Limitless. Yep. Limitless with 2A. Oh, Limitless with 2A in Monaco is bad. Not necessarily. It's not bad. It's just not as optimal. That's what I mean. What do you think about Lindblad? I think he is terrible this week. Not terrible as a driver. I mean, you saw where he qualified. But starting P9, I'm not expecting him to gain any positions. And he needs 29 points. I think Lindblad is a must-sell this week. I don't think he is a fantasy option. So Albon is not better than Ocon. Worse than Bortoleto? No, definitely not worse. Ooh. Yeah, I think he's worse than Bortoleto, actually. What race would you think is the best? Yeah, Monaco is the next Limitless option. 100%. 100%. Okay, so with Lawson in there, that means I can pick one more. In the instance where I go for Ferrari, one of those, I'm going for Ocon or Albon, right? But that's like, oh, it's Ocon, Albon versus Bortoleto, and then Ferrari versus whatever. Colapinto, Alonso, Checo. That's the next poll. There's so many of these today. Colapinto, Alonso, Checo. Start poll. What do you think? If I'm Limitless in Monaco, is it worth the wildcard now to get out Lawson or just take the risk? It depends on the rest of your team. If you have Mercedes, Antonelli, stuff like that. If you're wildcarding before. I think this is really close between these three. And I don't know who to call it for. There is a lot of upside with all three of these. Because of their points scored in round 4. That if they have a good race, like a good performance in F1 Fantasy in Canada, they could almost be guaranteed to increase in Monaco, even if they don't score points, which is very, very enticing, right? I don't know which to go for of these three. I'm going to be so honest. If I'm sort of like predicting a bit, I don't think I'll go for Colapinto on my main team, because the 13 points needed here, if he only scores, like, say he scores between 6 and 13 points here, he's gonna need to score about that much again to increase in Monaco. And in Monaco, I don't think any cheap... I think there might be one, like, midfield asset that scores above 10 points, okay? I think the majority of midfield assets are gonna score 5 points or lower. Like, even, like, way lower. 3 points or lower, even. I could go as far as to say 3 points or lower on the majority of assets, unless there's a lot of DNFs, you know? So, for that reason, we have to... I think I'm gonna try and pick a driver that I think will increase twice. And where I'm kind of leaning on that, the one thing now is that with Gasly and... Like, where's Checo starting now? With Behrman from the grid, Gasly from the... Or Gasly from pit lane doesn't matter because he was 19th anyway. It just moves Bottas up by 1 step, which is unfortunate, of course, but, you know, it is what it is. Checo was 17th. Checo is 16th now with Behrman starting from the pits. That's not great. I'm not... there's no one ahead of Checo that I can see him overtaking. So I don't love Checo for that reason. I would much rather he be, like, back here. Maybe he'll take Alonso. Maybe. But again, Checo has the upside of, like, this 19 point... Like, if he scores, like, a 10-pointer, when this 4-pointer rotates out and he scores a 10-pointer, that could be a guaranteed increase. And, like, Alonso is kind of the same. So, I think I'm between Alonso and Checo here. For my final mid-tier driver. Good afternoon, Josh. Checo and Bottas should just Jojo farm overtake points at this point. Yup. Too early to wildcard? No, I've popped it already. I think the wildcard is better used early, if I'm honest. Your wildcard with a team of 106.4. Can you build me a team? I mean, it's Mercedes, Ferrari, Antonelli, and then whatever you can afford after that, pretty much. At 106, you're probably forced to go for Bottas plus Bortoletto. Check over Alonso for reliability, but the Aston Martin does have some reliability now. It looks better than it was before. Do you think Mercedes McLaren is worth sacking Albon for Bottas? I mean, Bottas is not that bad, but I don't know. That's a great question. I'm surprised that Alonso is the lowest on this list at 19% among you guys. I'm kind of considering Alonso, I'm not going to lie. Worried about Colapinto if it rains? Yeah, I'm not going for Colapinto since I'm taking the bet on Lawson. I don't think Colapinto is bad or anything, but like he would actually need to score like a 15+ pointer this week. Team submissions time in 7 minutes. Would you say Alonso has more reliability than Bortoletto? I would say now, yeah. It looks like they've fixed the issue with the Aston Martin. They don't have performance in the car yet, but it looks like they've fixed it. So is it just Checo here then? Lawson plus Checo. And then it's always Bottas. I'm just forced to go with Bottas at 3.9 million. I think he's fine, a fine asset. And he's starting last again, so it's fine. You're slow today? Sorry, Lannister. In the instance I'm going Ferrari, what do I have then? It's Ocon or Albon. That's the next one. Next poll. Ocon, Albon from pit lane in sprint. Remember that. Remember that Albon is from pit lane in sprint. Let's see. Lawson plus Checo is the idea right now. You have to go Gabby? I don't have to go Gabby. If I'm going Ferrari, I don't go Gabby. If I'm going Bortoletto, I'm picking McLaren over Ferrari. So with this team, I have 10.6 million to splurge. And it's Ocon or Albon on the Ferrari build. Ocon not close. Well, people tend to disagree with you. Who are the must-haves? Mercedes Constructor. This is literally the only must-have option in the game. McLaren good this weekend? Yes, if you can afford it. Why Lawson? Because he's starting last from the pit lane. Double Cadillac? Yeah, that's a bit scary. Why do you have Lawson? Because Lawson, according to F1 Fantasy Tools, has like a 20% chance of scoring 30+ points. He's starting from the back of the grid, meaning that he's starting like on the grid, in his grid box. He's starting behind both Cadillacs, both Aston Martins. I think he overtakes all of them. That's an 8-pointer already. So I think there's a lot of upside for Liam Lawson, and I'm willing to take the bet on him. -10 or wildcard, I'd go for the -10. Albon more likely to get a 0.6 rise? Sure. I agree with that. Would you take a -10 to go from Ocon to Albon? No. I think they're very equal. I think people are slightly overvaluing Albon compared to Ocon. I think Ocon has shown so far this season that he just scores 10 points for fun. Should I keep Lawson to prevent a -10 transfer? Yeah, I think as long as you... Okay, again, I'm going to say the Lawson thing a few more times. Lawson is fine to bet on to score big if you're not using Limitless next week in Monaco. I think if you're using Limitless next week in Monaco, I don't think you should have Lawson. I don't think it's worth the bet. Ocon is amazing if it rains. True. Big tech. Don't forget it's going to rain. Ocon usually does pretty well in the rain. Ocon versus Perez. That's not really a conversation for me because they're different price points. I would go for Ocon, though, if you can afford it. Unless you're, like, considering some final fix play. Bortoletto risky? Yes, Bortoletto is risky. So you would rather play Lawson over Colapinto? Yes, if you're not limitlessing. I'm okay to bet on it because I think Colapinto is probably dropping in price in Monaco anyway. Because I don't think Colapinto has the potential for like a, 25-pointer here. And that's what Colapinto needs to not drop in price in Monaco. So I'm willing to bet on the Lawson 30-pointer. And if Lawson does get that, he could actually increase I think Lawson and Colapinto are both dropping in Monaco, if I'm honest. Like, if... Yeah. Okay, if you're planning on... Honestly... Okay, wait. What is my team? This is the team here. I'm gonna not go for Ocon here. I'm gonna go full budget builder on my second team. I think if you're planning on limitlessing the week after... I think you should have Alonso plus Perez. I'm not even joking. I think your team should be this ugly. Because I think both Colapinto and Lawson will drop in price next week. In Monaco. Just look at the... Okay, so look at the... right. Say Colapinto... Colapinto needs 13 points for a max increase here, by the way, which I think he can reach. But at 8.2 million, Alonso and Perez have a 20 and a 19-pointer stacked up. Colapinto scoring 15 points versus, like, Alonso and Perez scoring 15 points is not the same when calculating for Monaco. And anything, like, above a 5-pointer is going to be difficult to reach in Monaco for these mid-tier assets. I think you forgot about Lulu, who was absolutely cooking. Who's Lulu? Lou? Double Cadillacs, here we go. Bottas now starts from the pits too. Is that great for us? I don't think it's great for us. Well, I mean, it's gonna depend on the order in the pit lane. Thoughts on Bottas overall? I'm kind of forced to it. Oh, Lewis. I don't see the position to get Lewis in. Like, do you think Lewis scores 46 points? I don't care how good Lewis is in Canada, normally. I don't think he scores 46 points. I mean, Bottas wasn't overtaking anyone. Sure, I guess you're right. I'm curious what the order will be in the pit lane. So many cars. Who starts in the pits? It's Gasly, Albon, Behrman, and now Bottas as well. They haven't posted about the Bottas, but there's a lot of pit lane starts. All right, I'm gonna put through what my team is right now. I think the 57 on Albon is interesting, and I kind of agree, especially since there's more. I'm curious to see which order they actually start in the pits. I think that matters. Does it make Lawson worse? Yeah, Bottas starting from the pit definitely makes Lawson worse. Provisional limitless team in Monaco. I mean, you just slap in Russell. Like you look at is Ferrari or McLaren faster, and then you slap the triple of that versus the triple of Mercedes, and then like Max Verstappen or one of the other people. It's not really that crazy. Triple Merc if limitless in Monaco. That's kind of crazy. I can see it though. What do you think about keeping Behrman? I don't think you keep Behrman anyway. Ferrari's better than the McLaren if it lets you avoid Bottas. It doesn't let me avoid Bottas. It lets me avoid Bortoletto. I'm stuck with Bottas anyway, I think. Or can I cook something up here? I don't think so. I don't think I have the value for it. If I ignore... Okay, I hate this website with a fiery passion. Stop auto-updating. I swear to God. I'm tinkering. I'm tinkering! Breathe. 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 Let me play the game. I'm losing my mind. Can I, if I don't go for Albon or Behrman, afford this? No, I can't. So, if you are on some crazy budget that you can afford Checo in here, I think you... Oh, sorry. I just drooled all over the place. I think you go for this. But since I'm forced to go for Bortoleto or Bottas anyway, like, I'm forced to go either Bortoleto or Bottas on any team, I prefer Bottas over Bortoleto. So I'm going for Bottas, you know what I mean? That's just what I'm doing. I'm gonna lock this team for now so it doesn't auto-update on me every single time. I think this is what I'm on right now. Let's just confirm this. Boom. Oh. I'm losing my mind. No, driver ratings did not happen. I'm doing the 50-50s. The auto update is infuriating. Yes. Yeah, team submissions. We're gonna do team submissions. Okay, so right now this is my team. That could obviously change. There's a lot of things that could happen. Let's do team submissions. I'm gonna just quickly check if there's any other news on Twitter. Oh, Rob is already locked in. Won't be online. Interesting. He's doing Antonelli, Albon, Bortoleto, Bottas, Ocon. Ooh, he's doing Albon plus Ocon. None of the mid drivers. That's interesting. But he's doing Bortoleto with that. Interesting. Interesting. There's a lot of Bortoleto teams out on Twitter. But yeah, I still think I'm on Albon personally. All right, let's do team submissions. As always, team submissions are I can't get to all of them. But if you want to guarantee to get your team reviewed on stream, the only way to do so is by either being here from the start of the stream. That usually guarantees it. It doesn't guarantee it. The only way to guarantee it is to become either a member on YouTube or subscribing on Twitch. So let us take a look at that. We only have the 2 priority submissions. I'll look at Halukas as well. He should be 1, but so 3 then. Rain losing his mind. Thank you for that. $600 viewers. My god. And wait. Okay, we have 600 viewers on YouTube. And we have 75 likes. I'm not starting team submissions till we're at least 150. 150 minimum. Come on, guys. You can do better than that. There's literally like 600 of you who haven't liked the stream. Thank you so much for the support, by the way. That's a crazy turnout. After this long a break as well. Thanks a lot. Let me fix the camera. There's something with this camera. It just doesn't focus. Or like once it gets out of focus, it doesn't find it again. I have to like reset it every time. It's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying. 124. That's better. Where are we at now? 149. There's one more. Cool, let's go. Alright. Celtic first up. Chaos coming in Canada. Very possible. No negative play. We've already talked about that. I think that's a fantastic thing. Chips left Limitless wildcard. Final fix no negative 3x. I consider Limitless from Monaco. Good to know. That's important information. So, last race week, 96,000 in the world. So positions lost. Missed deadline last time. Yikes. Wildcard all out. Basically keeping Antonelli, Ocon, flip the rest of the team. Alright, so you were on this. You've been on single A constructor. Moving to 2A. If you're limitlessing in Monaco, it could be worth considering like keeping Haas. Or not keeping Haas, but like keeping a cheap constructor for a week. Just throwing that out there into the universe. There's a lot of different options here. It's basically like McLaren. I think, again, this is not the play. I think Mercedes, and I'm going to keep saying this, Mercedes is the must-have asset of this week. Some people in chat disagreed with me on that, but I feel pretty confident in saying that Mercedes is the must-have assets this week. Now, if then you go for Antonelli or Russell, that's up to you. I think there's a lot of viable meta lineups that you could play with. What is interesting here is that you know, if you go for something like this, you don't have to wildcard, right? And saving your wildcard, I think, is good. I think if you can get away with doing a -10 this week, I would go for it. I personally can't do that because, you know, I had Leclerc over... I didn't have Antonelli, I didn't have Mercedes, so I need to do those two with my 2 free transfers. I also have Behrman that I want to get rid of. Yeah, there's just a lot of assets that I have to move on. And I just cannot fit all of that in a -10. Do you really prefer Lawson over Colapinto and Alonso? I like the bet on Lawson getting like a 30-pointer. You have 3 transfers as well? Yeah, because you missed the deadline. So, yeah, I really like this team. I don't see any fault with this. Again, you keep Lawson. You get Bottas in, Ocon, Colapinto. Like, this is, like, the team that I was kind of going for. I think when you're buying Colapinto, I wouldn't go for Colapinto personally. Out of the 3, I would go for Alonso or Checo instead. But I can see, like, why you want to bet on Colapinto. I don't think that's bad at all. But if you're limitlessing, I would consider going for Checo or Alonso instead. But I like the team where you don't wildcard, basically, and go for something like this. So I think this is the one that I would go for, personally. I think Bortoleto, again, a bit too much of a difficult buy, and not difficult buy, but just a liability. And I personally think the Audis are the worst assets in the game right now. McLaren are great, but by having Ferrari with better assets that's not going to DNF for a while, maybe you can afford Mercedes and McLaren with a better team down the line a little bit. So I prefer this team, especially because you keep the wild card. Modric or Modric? Modric or Modric? I don't know. I'll call you Modric for now. We have... If Colapinto gets 13 points here, he needs a -1 for 0.2 rise and a 0.6 rise. Cool, so he's not dropping in price, but he's not rising 0.6. I don't think he gets 6 points in Monaco. Thank you for that, Haluku. That math helps. 2 transfers. Thinking of wildcards, I don't see a good way of replacing Hulk and Lawson without also selling Ocon. Interesting. Yeah, this is the original team, I would imagine. Yeah. Second, third, fourth pick is if I go with wildcard, but I don't like having Bortoleto and Bottas in the team at the same time. I think I need Bortoleto regardless. Well, you're avoiding them here. And, I mean, this is kind of... I think a lot of teams are going to look very similar today. So, team submissions-wise, I'm going to try and find interesting angles to approach a lot of teams. But a lot of them are basically the same, like... Which 4 do you go for from Checo, Colapinto, Lawson, and Alonso? And people are going to have different opinions there. I think the main thing is, like, are you setting up for a limitless play in Monaco? Are you forced to use your wild card or not? Things of that nature. Quick and dirty submission from Kellandore dropping in. I personally like this one. Just because I slightly prefer Bottas over Bortoleto, but, you know, it's close. And again, I like Ocon more than a Colapinto or Perez or Alonso. I think Ocon and Albon are just that slightly the tier higher in terms of value assets. So if you can stretch to an Ocon or Albon, I also like having one of the two, one of Ocon or Albon, because having one driver in that price category that's a little bit higher increases your flexibility for future weeks, right? Whereas, like, if you're... Say Albon has an amazing Canadian Grand Prix, and you're on this team, how do you get Albon in from this, right? you kind of can't, unless you go like, I mean, you spend 2 transfers like downgrading Perez to Bottas and upgrading Colapinto and Albon there, so I guess you could do that. But if you're on Ocon and Ocon increases 0.2 million, and then Albon scores a 30-pointer and increases 0.6 and looks guaranteed for a price rise in Monaco, you can probably afford to just do the one switch Ocon to Albon if you got that 50-50 incorrect. But just having one driver in that price category around 9 to, you know, the whatever it is, 9 to 10 million helps your flexibility a lot when it comes to these. You know, you just have to get on the ball when one driver has an outstanding weekend, and being able to jump on Albon or Ocon, whoever has the best weekend for Monaco, I think is very valuable. So that's why I prefer this structure over this structure. Just because, like, sure, you might not like Bottas as much as Bortoleto. I personally prefer Bottas to Bortoleto just because of Audi's reliability issues. But with this lineup, sure, you're 0.0 million here. Maybe you can't reach Lawson or Colapinto, but hopefully you still can. I don't know. And then, I guess 0.0 million makes it tough regardless, right? Yeah, I mean, you kind of, like, if Ocon increases 0.2 and Albon 0.6, you're kind of forced to downgrade Alonso or Perez anyway. So I guess in your case, it doesn't really matter because you're stuck at 0.0 million anyway. But in general, I think that's the sort of line of thinking we should be thinking in. Now, for you, it wouldn't matter because, again, you would be forced to do 2 transfers to get Ocon to Albon anyway. But if you have, like, I don't know, 0.5 to 1 million in the bank, then that line of thinking matters more. But thank you so much for your submission. I prefer this one, but realistically, like, any of these is a viable move. I think this is also viable if you want to take the bet on McLaren. It's just that I don't want to get Bortoleto, so I'm doing the Ferrari now, and that's sort of what's dictating my way of playing. Quick and dirty submission. What is this? Standard -10 take, alternate no -10 take. I don't see the issue with the no -10. Oh, I see the issue. There's no Mercedes. Yikers. Yeah, never mind. Standard -10 take seems good. I was like, this looks good. I just completely missed. I saw McLaren's like, McLaren team. Didn't realize there was no Mercedes. No, Mercedes must have. I like the -10. I think taking a -10 to go from Ferrari or McLaren up to Mercedes is one that's definitely worth it. So I would take the -10 here if I were in your shoes. Let's see if Haluku has posted. If so, we'll do Haluku. Haluku is supposed to be a member. It's not working for him for some reason. So we'll do that one, and then we'll go back up in order. So, afraid Hamilton will have an amazing race, and Ferrari versus McLaren will be much closer than expected. 3 transfers with Albon. Pit lane news. Take Albon as Albon, Ocon, or Alonso. Coolio. With Limitless in Monaco, that impacts my decision. I think you don't go for Lawson then, which I don't think you are. You're considering Albon, Alonso, or Ocon here. If Ferrari similar to McLaren, we can trust Alonso. Can we trust Alonso? We're just betting on things right now. Your current pick is this one. If McLaren's a better option, still all in on budget rider, except maybe Bottas. I think Bottas could rise in price. I don't see the issue here. I think, are you wildcarding here? Oh, you have 3 transfers. I don't think Colapinto. Oh well, Colapinto again, like you said, a 13-pointer would mean he can like increase in price or at least 0.2, and then he's like a 6-pointer away. I could see it. I still think I prefer Perez and Alonso though, budget building wise, but that's just me. Again, Albon could be anyone. Interesting. Trusting Audi reliability, ease of budget building. Why is this at 12.5? Oh, is that predicted points? I was like, that's not what he costs, but that's projected points. The Russell build is interesting. How do you afford that? What is the... Oh, it's a sacrifice you're going Mercedes. But you still... Wow, what is your budget, man? 113.2. What? I didn't even realize. I was about to say, how do you afford Ferrari, Mercedes, Russell without running like Bottas, Bortoleto? 113 is mental. Jesus. Yo, what's all the... Oh, yeah, Sims V3 are out. Okay, we're gonna take a pause in the team submissions. We have to look at Sims V3, and then we go back to team submissions. What's everyone's budget? Can anyone beat 113.2? Sorry, I just hit the mic with my headset. Can anyone beat 113.2? No lying. I will know if you lie. What's everyone's budget? Slap it in chat while I get the V3 up. V3. Albon went up, question mark? Not that much difference now. 111, 110. Best I got is 112 even. So no, but you're proud. I will be proud at 112. 113.6 is whew. This man is lying. Yeah, 130.6 is crazy. Look at Lawson. Yo, that's crazy. That's the difference, boys. Between 4 people. Yeah, he climbed 4 positions already, right? Damn. Colapinto's a better asset now? He is. Who's my guy gonna overtake? I mean, I still think he overtakes Checo, Alonso, Stroll, right? Wow. That is shocking. Yeah, I've seen enough. Lawson out. I think this convinced me as well. I don't think I'm going with Lawson anymore, guys. Sims are underestimating Lawson. Sure, but there was like there was 20% before. Like they said they had a 20% for a 0.6 increase. Alonso better now. Is he? I mean, that's a massive drop. Thoughts on Bottas? He's good for the price. Question, why did you use wildcard if you only did 2 transfers? I've done way more than 2 transfers. I've done like 4. Minimum 4. My team beforehand was... Let me remind you what my team was before. Why is Albon better now? Because there's more... I don't actually know. Albon at 16 projected, loss at 10 makes 0 sense. I see it. It auto-updated again. Let me remind you of the... I swear to God, I'm going to throw something out of the window. My team before this was... this. This was my team before this weekend. So I've already sold 1, 2, 3, 4 assets. If I sell Ocon to Alonso, or to Albon, it's 5, which I think I'm doing. And if I'm selling Lawson as well, that's literally 6 assets sold. Yeah, those simulations just convinced me to not bet on Lawson anymore. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, I'm selling like six things in my team, which is definitely worth the wild card, I would say. Am I doing Colapinto then? Or Alonso? Well, we're back to the Checo, Alonso, Colapinto conundrum. So what did Lucas say? If Colapinto gets 13 points, he needs -1 for 0.2 rise in Monaco and 6 points for a 0.6 rise. So we're kind of betting on Colapinto getting like 13 points or more. Why did Lawson drop? What's the news? Because there's so many people who were ahead of him who've now started in the pit lane. So he's gained 4 positions already, but that's 4 positions he can't gain in the race. So basically his potential got kind of just slashed. That's what happened. He's still starting. Like, I still think Lawson picks like at least 6 points in the sprint, but that's not good enough for a price increase. Am I willing to bet on Colapinto getting 13 points? Where is he on the grid? He's 13th. I mean, he's overtaking these two. That's 4 points already. I can see it. Lawson to Albon, now worth a -10. I'm gonna say still no. No, Lawson doesn't start on the pit lane. Lawson just didn't set a time. He has not changed his setup, so he starts at the back of the grid. Who all is starting from pit lane? It is Gasly, Albon, Bottas, and who's the last one? Bottas, Gasly. Oh, and Behrman. Bottas, Gasly, Behrman, and Albon. Start pit lane. Thank you, yeah. Will go down to the deadline? Yeah, I agree. Did this auto-update again? It's close. Don't do it. I think it's Colapinta now. How do you know starting from pit lane? There's news on Twitter. FIA documents bot just tweeted out as well. I follow. You can either follow me on Twitter. By the way, I'm like 100 followers away from 2,000 on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, make sure to follow me there. Link in the description. But the account that I follow for a lot of my news is F1 Big Data. And they posted this. So this is like just straight from they just post things from the FIA website and a bunch of other data stuff. So recommend following them for sure. They have not tweeted out that Bottas is starting pit lane, but he is. And then there's also FIA documents bot. 4 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, Car 10, Gasly, Albon, Behrman, and Bottas. There you go. So following this, like this bot just tweets everything that the FIA posts. So if you're not like scouring the FIA website for documents, just follow this and you'll get everything there. That's what I do. That's what I do. Alright, so with that in mind, I guess Lawson is no longer an option. Am I doing Checo Bottas or am I doing Albon Bottas? That's the question. Why Colapinta instead of Alonso? I like the Alpine and I think he can, like, the sort of calculation that he gets 13 points means that he can increase in Monaco. Continue team subs, don't forget. I won't, I promise you. I promise you. Which of those four is considered P20 or P22, I assume? I don't actually know how they decide on that. Does anyone know which order they're going to start in the pit lane? And if that matters, I assume that matters. I think -10 is fine. Yeah, -10 is not worth wildcard. It's essentially what Narbita said. I 100% agree that -10 is not worth the wildcard. -20 is worth it. Yeah, I'm on the same, like, Perez or, like, Checo or Alonso is kind of my toss-up. Based on qualifier order, I believe, Behrman's first because he's qualified highest, etc. So where would that put Albon, who didn't? Albon would be lost then, right? Because he didn't qualify? That's kind of good for Albon, no? There's like 3 people ahead of him in the pit lane that he could overtake. Rock, paper, scissors. -20 to have McLaren Mercedes. I would wildcard if you have it. Bottas would start second last in the pit, no? It would be Behrman, Gasly, Bottas, Albon then, would be the order. No McLaren. If I have McLaren, I'm forced to have Bortoleto. It's basically like Albon and Ferrari versus Bortoleto and McLaren. We've already discussed this earlier in the stream, Bogey. I think McLaren is a great pick. I think in a vacuum, McLaren outscores Ferrari. But in combination with an Audi asset that I think is truly terrible. It's kind of bad. Oh, 100%. If you can't afford Albon, just go for one of the, like, Colapinto, Alonso, Checo. It's alphabetical order. I want to win Kimi's gloves from a league that ends this weekend. Should you Limitless? Sure. If you think you have a chance at winning it. Just be realistic. Like, look who's top of that league right now and assume that they're going to play a chip to win it. I missed it. Why is Lawson not good now? Because Lawson was supposed to start last on the grid, not the pit lane, on the grid, with a bunch of people in front of him that the simulations assumed he would be able to overtake. But 4 people in front of him now start pit lane, meaning that Lawson has jumped up 4 positions, which has completely slashed the potential of Lawson's F1 fantasy score. So the new simulations put Lawson at only a 1% likelihood of reaching the 0.6 million threshold for a price rise, which was, 32 points. Whereas previously they had him at like a 20% chance to hit the 32 points. I'm willing to put on a 20% bet on a 32-pointer from Lawson. I'm not willing to put it on a 1%er. That's basically what happened. Checo or Lindblad? Definitely Checo. I think Lindblad is bad this week. He starts too high up. I think the only direction Lindblad can go, in my opinion, is back, unless there's crash in the front. Team subs. I'm gonna get to it, board. Don't worry about it. I have time. When important news drop and important simulations and things change, we have to discuss that first. That always takes precedence. I'm sorry. Ocon is good. Yes, Ocon is good. Does Bottas not lose value as well? Not necessarily, because, like, he's still starting second last. Like, it's just Albon behind him. Alright. I think we can go back to team submissions now. Now, granted, we've talked about a lot of this, so I need to see some unique things if I'm gonna go for it. So, Brennan has basically already what we've talked about, right? Currently, you know, McLaren, Ferrari. Main thing for me, you have to get Mercedes in there. -10, I think -10 is good. -20 or more, you have to switch it around. I think this is a great team for -10. I would personally go for this, right? But we don't have to discuss it too much further. And again, Checo versus Alonso, I think is a kind of 50-50 toss-up. It's whatever you want to go with. I would say if you're unsure and you truly don't care whether you go for Checo or Alonso, I would personally, I think, go for Checo. Just because he's cheaper, which gives you more money in the bank, which gives you more money in the bank for potential upgrades. Say, essentially, in this decision, I know we have a CL market, but say that Ocon increases, like, doesn't increase in price. Like, Ocon decreases 0.2 million, and... or, like, say that Ocon increases 0.2 million, and Albon increases 0.6 million, because Albon scores, like, a 30-pointer. Albon scores a 30-pointer, you have to get Albon in for Monaco. If you've gone for Alonso here, you have 0.1 million in the bank. You can't afford to go Ocon to Albon. Whereas if you have 0.5 million in the bank, you can actually afford to do the Ocon to Albon switch if Ocon increases 0.2 and Albon increases 0.6. And that is a realistic thing that could happen, by the way. You know, Ocon scores, what is it? Ocon scores something like, 10 points. And then Albon's rocks up a 30-pointer starting last on the pit lane, in the pit lane. And if that happens, you would want to switch to Albon for Monaco, and you would have to do an additional transfer if you've gone Alonso over Checo. So in the instance where it's truly 50-50, which I kind of think it is in this instance, I think you should go for Paris, personally. We'll scroll down. We have a Russell team. Interesting. Hulkenberg, though, I would... Like, if you can, I don't know if you're wildcarding or what build you've gone for here. Have you already made your transfers? Have you not? I would make sure that this is Bottas, personally. Other than that, I think this looks great. I think I like the Russell shout, honestly. But I don't like Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg is a guaranteed price drop. I think Hulkenberg is a must-sell. If this is Bottas, I think this is a great team. Also, then, that gives you 0.5 million in the bank, which means you can do the Ocon to Albon upgrade later if you want to. Again, you have Lawson. If you're wildcarding, I don't know. If this is something you've kept from previous transfers, I don't mind keeping Lawson in that case. You can always just sell Lawson next week. But I would definitely make sure to get rid of Hulkenberg. Don't know what to do. Me neither, Manto, but it's looking like it's very similar to everything we've discussed so far. So just make sure you listen to... my discussions that I've had over the course of it. I think Behrman must be sold, is one that I'm noticing here. I would definitely make sure to sell Behrman. I suppose that... is it worth taking a -10 to get rid of Behrman? That's a great question, actually. Because here you're doing, like, your Team 2. You're just getting Bottas and Mercedes in. And then you're kind of stuck with Behrman. I think Ocon Colapinto's a fine hold. It's just, would I take a -10 to sell Oliver Behrman? That's tough. That's really, really tough. I guess it depends on how much you value your budget. Because I guess, like, with this team, you could always just do the Behrman sale next week to, like an Albon or something. Behrman to Albon, would I take a -10? That's really close. I think I would. Any breaking news? Why sell Behrman? He's just dropping in price. Sorry, I just woke up from a nap. You're fine. Have you locked your team in yet? No, not fully. We're gonna go down a bit. This is very similar to what we just discussed. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna go into it. I'm so sorry. We have to I'll go back to it if I have more time at the end of the stream, but I have to get through some submissions here to see what we have. What do we have? -10 here for Hulkenberg's in here, 9.5 million. I prefer the wild card, especially because you also have Lawson, right? You like Hulkenberg, Lindblad, Behrman, Lawson. I would consider all 4 of them to be sells, and you also want to sell McLaren to Mercedes. That's 5 assets. I would go for the wild card. We've talked about Haluku already. Black Lantern looks very similar. We have Charles Leclerc. Only 1 transfer over to Monaco could do no negative. Yes, I think you should do no negative. Keeping Leclerc is brave over Mercedes assets, but as long as you have Mercedes constructor, you're fine. Dude, I think I would carry over 1 transfer to Monaco. Thoughts, we'll stuff Behrman now, so probably like Colapinto or Alonso. Could you go Behrman to... No, you can't afford to go Albon. If I had to sell 1 here, we probably would be Behrman, right? I think I would keep Leclerc over Behrman. You also can't go to Antonelli anyway with that budget, so you're kind of... If you just want to do 1 transfer, it's Behrman down to one of the guys around the 8 million mark. So Checo... Oh, you were in Checo, so... I mean, yeah, it's just Colapinto, right? You already have Alonso in the team, so yeah, Colapinto will probably be the play. Long for submissions from board. What do we have here? We have a bunch of... This is the previous team, I assume. Oh, team 1. Oh, we have multiple teams. Budget builder. Russell team. Sure. Probably selling Behrman here, right? Team 3. Antonelli Leclerc. Budget build team. Sure. Oh, team 2. Sorry. Team 2 is this one. Budget rescue points. Behrman, Lawson, extremely undecided. Would appreciate any suggestion. I mean, you just sell Behrman, Lawson, keep 1 transfer, and go to the, Checo. You probably, like, for budget reasons, you probably go down one of them to Bottas, right? I think this is interesting to discuss, right? Because a lot of people do have, like, their team 2s or team 3s where they're trying to build budget. And in that instance, also my camera is completely unfocused. Again, thank you so much. I'm also sweating like a pig. It's so hot in here. I need to go open a window, but I'll do that after the stream, I think. I think these types of teams are really interesting to discuss because a lot of people do have like a budget builder team or like a differential team on their second or third team. And in this instance, like the obvious move here, like you can just keep Racing Bulls, right? That's fine. They're going to increase 0.6 billion probably. So you have Behrman and Lawson. Ewan went Limitless on his main team? Is he crazy? We'll talk about that in a second. Behrman and Lawson can obviously just go to like Checo, Alonso, Albon, whatever, like 2 of those 3. I think there's value, even though you already have 7.6 million in the bank. You sure did. It's raining tomorrow. You're out of your mind. I think there's value in like selling like Behrman to Bottas and then Lawson to Albon. Because you're gonna want to have like this team is switching to 2 premium constructors soon anyway which means at that point you want to have like a Bottas or a Bortoleto anyway. You know what I mean? So you kind of get ahead of one transfer if you do that now, and also they're decent for budget gains. So I would actually, even though you have 7.6 million in the bank here, you can't see it up here. Whatever. Yeah, it's 7.6 million. Oh no, that's not the one. Even though you have 7.6 million in the bank, I would just kind of go for it. I hate all the other options, so it is what it is. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I also hate, like, all other options. Thank you so much for all the subs, by the way. I've missed a bunch of them. Nightside Gaming, Nocturnal, Ian Stevens, Resi, Ayush, Siddharth, Gonzalo, Joel. Thank you so much for the subs. If you haven't subbed on YouTube, make sure you do so. We're close to 5K. So yeah, on this team or any team like it where you are budget building, I would start preparing because, like, I think you're getting close to when you stop budget building now. And I think for Monaco especially, I don't think it's worth budget building in Monaco. I think you should have 2 premium constructors there. So since you're moving towards that anyway, why not just move it along and get Bottas or Bortoleto now? And out of those 2, I prefer Bottas. I can't believe you went for Limitless, Ewan. That's crazy. You're out of your mind. I mean, I get it, but... in 2024, when it rained in Montreal, there were 5 DNFs. Interesting. If it's raining, then why hasn't Rainman Stroll been considered home race bonus potentially? I guess you're right, and I hate that you're right. I hate that you're right. I think Stroll... I mean, the minus 17 here just hurts Stroll, man. Submit my team. Sorry so late. I'll get to that in a moment because I need to lock my own team. We only have 20 minutes. We need to do tip of the week. We need to do tip of the week. We still haven't done the most important thing. Zero aura. Ewan is playing Limitless. I love people dropping in with the gossip. I can't believe Ewan's playing Limitless. He's out of his mind, dude. I mean, I don't see why it couldn't work out. I mean, it could always work out, to be fair. It could also completely backfire. Arthur Fernandez, thank you so much for the sub. Stroll is amazing from Monaco. Limitless, though. He kinda is. I guess you're cooking. ABK, you're kinda cooking. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, yeah. You are. Alright, you've convinced me. Okay. Just because I love you guys, I'm doing it. And to spread out, you know, my risk a bit, I'm doing it. I'm gonna slot Stroll in on this team. I'm gonna slot because this is my team that's limitlessing in the next race. I'm doing double Aston Martin. Am I doing double Aston Martin? I don't think I'm doing double Aston Martin. Am I doing double Aston Martin? I guess I'll do double Aston Martin. Wow. Double Aston. I mean, it's my team 3. It's like it's been running 2 budget constructors for the first half of the season. It just now bought Mercedes. Perez or Bottas? They're completely different assets. It's impossible to call. What about 3X? I mean, if you have 2 premium drivers, you could go for it. Rain is always scary, but yeah. The Adrian Newey team. Don't forget to check the AI goats. True, I forgot about that. We're pretty strapped for time. I can probably check that during the sprint. I'll stay live over the sprint, by the way, on Twitch, so... if you don't have anywhere to be for the sprint race and you want to watch it with me and see me scream as all my assets DNF and crash, it should be fun. Alright. So, double AM, I'm liking it. It's time. Put your predictions in chat. What is the tip of the week this week? What is the tip of the week? There's been so many tips this week, so I don't know which... Like, what is the number 1 tip of the week? That's the thing. What's the number 1 tip of the week? Because there's been a lot of tips. So, like, yes, I know, we've talked about Lawson. He's no longer an option. Is that the tip of the week, though? I'm a bit rusty. It's been a while. Let me lock in here. That's the worst R I've ever drawn. Tip of the week. What's tip of the week, guys? What is tip of the week? Put your predictions in the chat. I see Twitch spamming it. They're correct. If you want spoilers before the drop, pop on over on Twitch. The Twitch chat has got it. This is a marathon, not a sprint. But it is a sprint. Use no negative. No negative is a great tip. It's not the tip of the week, though. I think wildcard is more important this week if you're having some issues. Don't live with us in Canada. Yeah. Bum, bum. Delete team. Rain blows a gasket. Tip of the week is Mercedes constructor. I mean, it is simple. Like, I think you have to have Mercedes constructor. It is the tip of the week. It's boring, but I think all your strategies should revolve around getting Mercedes constructor in. I do think, like, an honorary tip of the week. First in Rain Fantasy Deadline Stream history, we have an honorary tip of the week that's a bit more controversial. Honorary tip of the week is I hate Audi. Okay? I hate the Audi assets. They're the worst F1 fantasy assets of all time. It is not even close. It's not even close. Yes, I am Swedish. Can you hear it? That is not a tip. It is a tip. Get Merc. I did not have Merc before this. It is a tip. But this is a tip. I hate Audi. Like, I truly cannot think in the history of me playing this game that there's ever been, like, objectively worse assets. Like, Audi are so bad. Audi are so terrible. Watch Audi assets of driver of the day. Like, that would be a great reverse curse, I'm gonna be honest. Final fix, impossible to call before anything has happened, right? Alright, let's lock my team in. I think my team 2 is correct. I'm doing Ocon here because I'm doing Albon with my other teams. I think Ocon and Albon is pretty close. I slightly prefer Albon. I'm spreading out, you know, and also I'm not using my Limitless here or my wildcard here. So I'm keeping Ocon for that reason. This is the team that's gonna rock with Bortoletto because I'm running Russell. So I'm doing Bortoletto and Bottas on this team. I think this team is fine. It's used 3 transfers. It's gotten to where it wants to be. This is the team that's crazy. It's gonna Limitless in it's gonna Limitless in Monaco, which is why I'm locking in the Stroll already, preparing the 0.6 deduction here in Canada, hoping for a cheeky driver of the day after he turns into Senna in the rain, and then he's guaranteed a price rise in Monaco. There goes the Audi sponsorship. True. That's crazy that you say that, by the way. And then we have, could you glance over our team subs? You were just on my team and skimmed over it. I'm so sorry, Christify. I think you can figure out what to do with your team based on what I've said on mine. But we need to lock it because I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Am I doing double Cadillac or not? I think I've locked in Antonelli. I've locked in Albon. I've locked in Ferrari over McLaren. I've locked in Mercedes. I think I've locked in Colapinto. The only real thing now, I've locked in Bottas. The only real thing now is Checo versus Alonso. And I think it's really, really close. It's really, really close. Why no Lawson? Because Lawson no longer has a great chance of increasing in price. Because so many drivers are starting from the pit lane. Just got here. Why no McLaren? Because if I go McLaren, I'm forced to go with Bortoleto, and I don't want to go Bortoleto. It's basically Albon and Ferrari versus Bortoleto and McLaren. And in a vacuum, I think McLaren are better than Ferrari, but I much prefer the structure of having Albon in there. And I also just want Albon. And I am very scared of the Audis DNFing. And, yeah, I mean, they just qualified P11, drop 4 positions in the start, and the DNF. Like, it's a... They're so bad. Why not both over Colapinto? I think I'm going to go for Colapinto. I think I trust Colapinto to get, like, a 13-pointer in this race. He's starting behind both Audis. I think he can get 4 points from that pretty simply, or pretty easily, is the word I'm looking for. In, what's-his-face? In the sprint. And I think he can put a few points in the main race as well. I still think there's pace in the Alpine. If Colapinto gets 13 points, he increases the maximum here. And on a 13-pointer, he is basically, like, he needs 6 points for a 0.6 increase in Monaco, which I don't think he hits. But he needs -1 for a 0.2 increase. And I think a 0.2 increase is kind of good enough in Monaco. So that's why I'm going for Colapinto. I just like the upside play there. Favorite between Alonso, Perez, and Colapinto? I mean, it's literally like 33, 33, 33. I think I'm going for Colapinto +1, but I don't know. I think Alonso and Checo are kind of similar in terms of what type of asset they are. They're just, you know, they're in bad cars starting further back. I think there's so many drivers in pit lane now that I think Colapinto becomes better because of that. If, like, Alonso and Perez were starting from the back in the sprint and there were no people in the pit lane, I think it's fine. But I think a lot of the people in the pit lane, maybe not Bottas, but, you know, at least, like, Albon, Behrman definitely, Gasly definitely are going to overtake Alonso and Checo in the sprint. And I think that diminishes Alonso and Checo slightly here, and that's why I prefer Colapinto of that trio, right? Why no Behrman? Behrman is dropping in price almost guaranteed. Gasly 40 points incoming. That'd be kind of crazy. Bottas or Bortoleto help? I prefer Bottas. Would you drop Colapinto for Bortoleto to have Ocon and Albon? It's a good question. I guess you're on a slightly lower budget. I don't think Bortoleto is terrible because budget-wise he still has the potential, right? But I'm just scared of it. I don't think Albon is that necessary. I think Albon's good. Yeah, I think Albon's good. You like Albon over Ocon of doing Limitless next week? Yes. Why not stop Albon to Perez to take McLaren? TF Tiny P in the 4662. I want you to think about what you just said. I'm 1.9 million away from that. So that's why. It would have to be Albon down to Bortoleto. That's the only option. Ocon to Albon. Ocon to Albon for -10 worth? No, I don't think it's worth a -10. I think Ocon is still very, like, a great asset. 10 minutes to deadline, guys. Where are we at? How many people are still with us this late on in the stream? 625. Okay, hold on. We are... We have 600 people in chat. And we have 200 likes on the stream. We can at least push that to 250. There's 400 of you watching right now who have not liked the stream. Make sure you do so. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps out more than you think. Like, the YouTube algorithm really likes people interacting with the stream. So if you haven't commented, just drop where your current global rank is as well. That also helps. 250 immediately. Okay, we can push it 300. Half of you have not liked the stream. 1/6 of you who have not liked the stream can push it up to a big round 300. Thank you so much for the support. 600 people live is crazy. I'm thinking about Alonso versus Checo. I think I'm going Checo for 2 reasons. Checo's cheaper, and Checo's 1 position behind Alonso, and I'm hoping he can overtake Alonso for that position. So I think I've decided to go for Checo over Alonso for that reason. Could hurt in the long run, but Checo's been pretty consistent, man. And especially in the sprint races, he's been really good. So I'm hoping he can replicate what he did in China and in Miami and get me another 20-pointer. I think this is my team locked in. I think this is the team. Wildcard in total, I've sold like every asset but Ferrari. Literally, I've sold every asset but Ferrari. I think that's a pretty well-used wildcard, if I do say so myself. 6 total transfers. Just copying that over. I'll post that on Twitter. Thank you so much for your support today, guys. I'm gonna pop over on Twitch. If you're on YouTube and you want to watch the sprint with me and watch me react as all of my assets DNF, and I scream in horror, that will be over on Twitch. I'll watch the sprint live there. We'll begin prepping for that. Team locked. Let me just tweet out the final team. Wildcard activated. 6 total transfers. Let's see. Mercedes must-haves. I like the prospect of Albon from the pits still. Ferrari plus Albon over McLaren plus Bortoleto. Colapinto, Checo could have been Alonso. Felt like a true 50-50 call. Good luck. Live on Twitch still for sprint. Watch along. 28 people on Twitch. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? You do what you gotta do when your friends bail on the watch along. True. Me every week. That's why I'm here with you guys. Let me just get the... Oops. Oh, I deleted that. That's unfortunate. So I have to just screenshot that again. Alright, that is the tweet up. I'll pin that to my profile. If you are on this cursed website, if Blue Sky was better, I might use it, but we're kind of stuck in the trenches. Stroll DNS? Hello? Who said that? Wait, Stroll not starting? What's happened? I'm not watching. Stroll not starting the sprint? Okay, I'm selling Stroll. I'm selling Stroll on my team 3. Bottas, I'm so sorry for ever doubting you. Okay, cool. Stroll has suspension issue. Okay, Stroll is not starting. Good that we noticed that 5 minutes before the deadline. I was willing to go for the punt, okay? I was willing to go for the punt. What would your Limitless team be here? Check Ewan's stream. He went for it. I'm not considered it at all, so I don't know. I mean, it's triple Mercedes. Predictor. We've done F1 predicts. Stroll not starting. That's not good for... I mean, I don't know how that works in positions gained, but... Why no McLaren instead of Ferrari? Because I've said this a bunch of times already, but it was basically Ferrari plus Albon versus McLaren plus Bortoletto, and I don't like the Audis. I think they're terrible assets. I think they're gonna keep DNFing and dropping places in the starts. They're not good enough yet. I cannot believe Stroll is not starting. That's so funny. I guess I'm doing the right thing by not owning Aston Martin as well. I guess they still do have their issues, huh? He might actually start. Bro, you had double Aston? It's just on my team 3. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Wait, he might actually start now? What are we doing? Is he starting from the pits then? Oh my god. What is happening? Hold up. I need to get the freaking the live stream up, man. Oh my god. I need to... I need to enter like a temporary code to be like, let's open Cannes Grand Prix Live. I'm muted so I don't get banned like I did before. Cool. Alright, awesome. Alright, thank you so much, YouTube, for the support. Where did we end up? Likewise, did we hit 300? 310 likes. Thank you so much, guys. 2 minutes until the deadline. If you want to watch the sprint with me, I'm going to be live over on Twitch only. As a lot of people are going to drop out, rightfully so. So yeah, if you want to watch me scream, I've already screamed once today. And I might scream again. We'll see what happens in the in this sprint. So thank you so much for the stream. I'm gonna call it now. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 minute 30 to the deadline. This is the final team. I think it looks good. I don't love the double Cadillac, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. You gotta do what you gotta do. And personally, I just preferred Checo over Alonso. Checo and Colapinto over Alonso here. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe I will live to regret it. Bunch of pit lane starts means I won't have Lawson because he no longer has the crazy high upside potential. He only has a little bit of potential. So, yeah, we'll pop on over to Twitch now. Thank you so much, YouTube, for watching. Twitch, don't go anywhere. See you in the next one. YouTube, goodbye. And that is the YouTube stream